Why your cat hates when strangers enter your home. Cats are creatures of habit, territory, and subtle communication, which is why many of them react negatively when strangers enter their home. To a human, a visitor might simply be a guest dropping by for a conversation or a cup of tea. But to a cat, that unfamiliar person can represent a sudden disruption to the carefully controlled environment the cat considers its territory. Unlike dogs, which are often socially oriented and more likely to greet newcomers with curiosity or excitement, cats are evolutionarily wired to be cautious observers of their surroundings. Their survival instincts encourage them to evaluate any unfamiliar presence before deciding whether it is safe. When a stranger walks into the home, the cat's senses immediately go into alert mode. Unfamiliar footsteps, voices, scents, and movements signal that something in the environment has changed. From the cat's perspective, its territory has been invaded by an unknown individual whose intentions are unclear. One of the main reasons cats react strongly to strangers is their deep attachment to territorial security. In the wild, felines establish and defend territories that provide food, shelter, and safety. Even though domestic cats live comfortably with humans, this territorial instinct remains deeply ingrained in their behavior. Your home is not just your living space. It is also your cat's territory, where every scent, sound, and object has become familiar over time. Cats mark this territory through scent glands located on their cheeks, paws, and tails, rubbing against furniture and people to create a network of comforting smells. When a stranger enters the home, they bring completely new scents that disrupt this scent map. To the cat, this unfamiliar smell signals a potential threat, or at least an unknown variable, which triggers defensive or cautious behavior. Another factor is the unpredictability that strangers bring. Cats thrive in environments where routines are stable and predictable. They know when feeding time occurs, when the house is quiet, where people usually sit, and which spaces belong to them. A stranger introduces unpredictability. They may move differently, speak loudly, laugh suddenly, or attempt to approach the cat without understanding its boundaries. For a cat, these behaviors can feel intrusive or intimidating. Even a well-meaning guest who tries to pet the cat immediately may unknowingly trigger anxiety. Cats prefer to approach people on their own terms, slowly assessing body language and energy. When that control is taken away, the cat may retreat, hide, hiss, or display defensive body language. Scent also plays a major role in how cats interpret visitors. Cats rely heavily on smell to understand their environment, much more than humans realize. A stranger may carry scents from other animals, unfamiliar environments, or even strong perfumes that overwhelm a cat's sensitive nose. If a guest owns another pet, especially another cat or dog, the lingering scent on their clothes can instantly signal competition or danger. The cat cannot interpret these scents logically the way humans do. Instead, it reacts instinctively, often choosing avoidance as the safest strategy. Hiding under furniture, watching from a distance, or leaving the room entirely are ways a cat protects itself until it determines that the situation is safe. Past experiences also shape how strongly a cat reacts to strangers. Cats that were well socialized as kittens, exposed to different people, voices, and environments during early development, are usually more tolerant of visitors. On the other hand, cats that grew up in quiet homes with limited human interaction may see strangers as rare and therefore suspicious events. If a cat has previously experienced stress from loud gatherings, rough handling, or chaotic visitors, it may learn to associate unfamiliar people with discomfort. Over time, this association becomes a learned response, causing the cat to retreat or become defensive the moment it hears the doorbell or footsteps of someone new entering the home. Body language differences between humans and cats also contribute to misunderstandings. Many people instinctively approach animals directly, lean over them, stare into their eyes, or attempt to pet them immediately. However, these behaviors can appear threatening from a cat's perspective. Direct eye contact, for example, can be interpreted as a sign of dominance or confrontation in feline communication. A stranger bending down quickly or reaching out with a hand may resemble a predatory motion. The cat, unsure of the stranger's intentions, may choose the safest option: distance. This is why many cats seem to hate strangers, when in reality they are simply responding to signals that feel unsafe in their natural communication system. Interestingly, the reaction of the cat can also depend on how the owner behaves when a stranger arrives. Cats are highly observant of their human companions and often take cues from them. If the owner greets a visitor calmly and continues normal routines, the cat may eventually relax and observe from a distance. However, if the arrival of guests brings loud excitement, sudden movements, or changes in routine, the cat's anxiety can increase. The emotional energy in the room can influence the cat's perception of whether the situation is safe or chaotic. Despite their cautious nature, many cats can gradually learn to tolerate or even enjoy certain visitors if introductions are handled properly. Allowing the cat to observe from a distance, avoiding forced interaction, and letting the cat approach on its own terms can make a significant difference. Guests who remain calm, avoid staring directly at the cat, and offer a gentle hand only after the cat shows curiosity are more likely to gain the animal's trust. Over time, repeated positive experiences with the same visitor can transform the cat's reaction from fear to curiosity. In the end, a cat's dislike of strangers entering the home is rarely about aggression or hostility. Instead, it reflects the animal's natural instincts for self-protection, territorial awareness, and environmental stability. Cats interpret the world through scent, routine, and subtle body language cues, and any sudden disruption to those elements can trigger caution. When we understand this perspective, the cat's behavior becomes much easier to interpret. Rather than seeing a cat as unfriendly, we can recognize that it is simply responding the way its instincts have evolved to respond, carefully, thoughtfully, and always with a strong sense of protecting the territory it calls home.